So, after going back and playing LEGO Batman 3 in my last video, it reignited my love for LEGO games. So, in today's video, I will be attempting to complete LEGO DC Super-Villains with only superheroes. Now, I didn't think this challenge would actually be that difficult, but I was definitely wrong, since LEGO DC Super-Villains has a huge lack of superheroes on their roster. So, let's find out if we can beat LEGO DC Super-Villains with only superheroes. So, level 1 has you breaking into Strike's Island to free Metallo, and I figured I'd start this challenge off by using arguably the most iconic superhero of all time, Batman. Anyway, I plan to use this level as a testing ground to see what heroes had what abilities. So after struggling with some parkour— BRO! What? And breaking some shield generators, I was faced with the first ability section, which was Silver Bricks. I got past this no problem because Batman has explosive batarangs, along with other characters like Green Arrow, who I used to destroy the next set of silver bricks, covering a button which allowed me to head outside. After beating up some enemies, I once again used Green Arrow to uncover and pull a bridge towards me, so I could continue on to the next part of the level. Immediately after entering the next part of the level, I faced my first challenge, a Solomon Grundy ability panel, which I couldn't use for obvious reasons. Luckily it wasn't a big deal, because I could just fly past it to the lever I had to pull. After that I used Aquaman, who surprisingly had the ability to see in the dark, and activated an X-ray vision puzzle, which gave me no issues because Batman can do them. Completing the puzzle opened the doors to the elevator, which would take us deep underground to Metallo's cell. Now, this is where we encounter our first real problem, which is, in order to beat the level, I need to use my custom character to absorb and destroy a power station. Now, you're probably thinking, what's the issue? Well, the custom character is meant to be a villain. However, at the end of the story in this game, you get to pick whether you stay a villain or become a hero. And I remember, I actually did pick to become a hero, because I'm an amazing person. Anyway, that technically means my custom character is a hero, so we can indeed use him. So after destroying the power station, I used Firestorm to melt a turret made of gold bricks, and then I had to do a quick puzzle with Batman, which allowed me to free Metallo and move on to the final section of the level. This section was super easy, because you were meant to do a bunch of puzzles to get to the top of a clock tower. However, I didn't feel like doing any of that, so I just flew to the top. I then blew up some silver bricks with Batman to build the device that I could use to complete the level. Oh yes. Nice, I didn't have to do that. Perfect. Come on, nice. Didn't have to do that. Perfect. Level 2 is you go into the GCPD. You start at the bottom of the staircase, which you can't go up due to it being guarded by police officers. So, after looking around and breaking stuff, I was able to build a vent, which led behind the police officers, which I used with Plastic Man. Once I bypassed the guards, I quickly had to fight off some reinforcements. After doing so, I attempted to progress the level, but I shortly realized that in order to progress the level, there was a section that could only be completed by Scarecrow, who, for obvious reasons, I couldn't use. I thought my run was over, and was ready to scrap the video. But then I remembered something vital. LEGO DC Super-Villains has shitty code, and it's a buggy mess. So, this is where I used my first glitch of the challenge. However, in order to do this glitch, I needed to use Red Hood. Now, I know he is traditionally a villain or an anti-villain, however, in recent media depictions, he has kinda been a hero. So I'm gonna let that slide, and let this be my one loophole of the video. Anyway, the glitch involved me glitching under the map to trigger a cutscene that skipped me to the next part of the level, which after many attempts, I successfully pulled off. Yes! 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 I'm sorry for sounding like a 13-year-old that's seen boobs for the first time, but you don't understand, this took me hours. After pulling off the glitch, I entered the final section of the level, Penguin's Iceberg Lounge, which, to make a long story short, I had to use the glitch again, because in order to complete this level, there are sections where you have no choice but to use a villain. So what did I do? I went ahead and glitched my way to the completion of the level. Yes! Oh my god, yes! The start of level 3 was simple. I just had to destroy a gold brick with Firestorm, then fight off some goons. Then I had to complete a little puzzle, which my brain dead ass struggled with. After completing the puzzle, you have to do some hacking with Batman, which activates the super speed treadmill, which I obviously used to flash on.
I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am. I'm fast as fuck, boy.
Doing this activates a cutscene, which leads into the final section of the level, which was a boss fight against Beast Boy and Raven. Quick side note, This whole boss fight has a Teen Titans theme tune playing in the background, and it's so fucking gas. Anyway, the first part of this boss fight just has you dodging Beast Boy's attacks and fighting back. Once you hit him enough, he gets protected by Raven, and then you have to use your custom character to blow up a power station, which allows you to build a vent and sneak up behind Raven. Once you hit her, you put Beast Boy back into the fight, and then you beat the shit out of him and complete the fucking level. I finished the first section of level 4 really quickly. It has you in a massive boss fight with Poison Ivy and her plants. In order to defeat her, you have to spam her with batarangs until she spawns in these spore pods, which you have to break. For the most part, this was easy, since the spores were behind things like gold and silver brick walls, which I already knew how to deal with. However, I did encounter a section where I had to use ice, which I was concerned about for a second, until I remembered obviously Superman has freeze breath. There was also a marksman section, which I used green arrow for. Then, I finished off Poison Ivy and moved on to the next part of the level. The next part of the level takes place on Rooftop. This part of the level had me use Plastic Man in order to shrink down and turn off a massive fan. Then I had to find someone who could turn invisible to bypass the security gate, which thankfully was easy due to the ability filter. Which I don't know why it took LEGO all these games to implement it, but I'm glad it's here to stay. Moving on, I decided to use Dr. Fate to go invisible. After bypassing the gate, I realized I could have just flown past most of the level. However, I encountered a big issue, which was in order to access the next room of the level, I had to use explosive graffiti, which only villains have access to. So to my annoyance, I went all the way back to the beginning of the level, and I did what I do best, glitch to the end of the level. After glitching to the final room of the level, all I had to do was push a button, and I was on to the next mission. I'm the goat. I'm the fucking goat!
Good evening, ladies and
The next level has you break into Arkham Asylum. In order to open the gate to get into Arkham, I had to use Batman's sonar batarangs to break open a door, and then I used Plastic Man on one of those shrinking hacker panels to hack the gate open. After hacking the gate open, I headed inside. Once inside, you immediately see one of those mandatory Joker box thingy-majiggies that like to fuck me in the ass. So this meant I had no way to progress the level. But after doing a little bit of cheeky research online, I found a glitch that you could use with the Flash. That transported me to the final section of the level, skipping over all the little bits in between. This final section is a boss fight with Hugo Strange's Monster Man, which I actually think is one of the most innovative LEGO boss fights. And it reminds me of Arkham Origins' Bane boss fight, if anyone knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, this boss fight has you doing a bunch of puzzles in order to beat the Monster Man, whilst you have to constantly stay out of his vision and hide from him. Firstly, you build a trap that Monster Man steps in. Once he steps in it, he loses some health and then starts to chase you to the next puzzle. However, when he chases you, you are forced to play as Joker on Livewire. However, you don't actually have to click any buttons if you don't want to, and you can just wait a bit until you arrive at the next puzzle. So I am not counting this as failing the challenge, since technically, I'm not playing as the villains. The next puzzle requires someone with electric powers, so I switched to Shazam and used his powers. Then I had to use Batman's grapple gun and turn a valve, which activated some gas, which damaged the Monster Man again. The final puzzle involved another electrical panel, which activates the final trap that allows you to land the final blow on the boss and complete the level. Man, were you speeding through this. Level 6 is you go in a Gorilla Grodd city, which I actually have no idea what it's called, so I'm gonna just call it Monkey Land, or something like that. In Monkey Land, we have to go rescue Grodd and help him reclaim his city. Anyway, this level was the easiest of a lot, since the first section I could just fly past all of it. After skipping the first section, I had used Vixen, which requires some elite comic book knowledge, to dig up a speed treadmill, which allowed me to create and ride a massive banana.
What do you mean by that?
And use it as a battering ram. After smashing down the gate with the banana, I entered the boss fight of the level, which was against Solivar. The boss fight was really easy and simple, but I'm not gonna complain since it was like 4 AM when I did it, and I was on my last brain cells. So after dodging Solivar's rush attacks, and using Dr. Fate's magic abilities to drop a bowling ball on his ass, I finally launched some bananas at him and beat the level. Blah blah, another mission done, let's go. This level has you going to Oa, the planet of the Green Lantern. Now, this level was fairly easy because as what was becoming a theme with these levels, you could skip over a bunch of the puzzles by flying. However,
Oh my
I did
God.
struggle in this one puzzle section, like genuinely struggled. I was doing this shit for about 15 minutes, and it was genuinely pissing me off. Oh my god, I'm actually better fuck out. That goes there, and you get that. There, okay, yes. Bang. Bang. Okay. Holy fuck, oh my god, it's 4 AM. Oh! Stupid man to ever walk this fucking shitty. Ah! Eventually, I realized I could also skip it. So that's exactly what I did. However, I got to a point where I couldn't progress any further due to there being a mandatory Scarecrow section. And man, these mandatory villain sections are so annoying. And I'm so mad I'm gonna call them lazy game design. So what did I do to get around it? I did what I do best. I found a way to glitch myself into the final area of the level. Yes! Yes! Okay, then fuck off recording that. The final area of the level is against Power Ring, who is the evil version of Green Lantern. This boss fight was super easy. All you had to do was dodge his attacks and hit him when he was stunned, which I rinsed and repeat, and eventually I completed the level with ease. The challenge was getting increasingly more difficult, and I was having to use more and more glitches to complete the level. And, well, this level was no different, because immediately after spawning in, I realized I needed the Joker to open the door and progress through the level. So, what did I do instead? Well, isn't it obvious? I used Red Hood to glitch onto the map and fly to the next section. This was pretty easy. The only thing that caused me some struggle was there was a hammer section and I didn't know who to use. Luckily, the ability filter came in clutch and I used Hawk Girl to do it. After that, I completed the puzzle and it immediately put me into a boss fight with Shazam and his evil doppelganger. However, the issue was I spawned in as Black Adam and Sinestro and I could not change characters. Well, obviously, neither of them are heroes. I tried everything in my power. Tried making them hit each other, seeing if my AI teammate would do anything, and even trying to glitch out the map. I even considered trying to say Black Adam was a hero, but even for me that was a stretch. So out of nowhere, with almost no warning, my run unfortunately comes to an end, and I deem the challenge unbeatable. So, can you beat LEGO DC Super-Villains with only superheroes? No. Not only is it impossible, but it's only possible to get past the second level if you use glitches. However, this challenge has made me determined to beat another challenge like this, and I will not stop until I do so. So, as of this video's release, you can vote for what LEGO game I should play next on my community tab. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and sub. Hey guys, if you ended up making it this far in the video, I want to say a huge thank you for watching to the end. And I also want to say a huge thank you for all the support on my previous video. Anyway, it kind of sucks that this video was so short. I really expected when I started like recording and everything that I would be able to get really far in the game. But you know, the game kind of sucks balls.